Hi, this is Martin from Martin's Engine Services. Here is a short video about my trusty old ML4 lathe circa 1933. I've had this unit just over 14 odd years now and it's all performed exceptionally well. Despite its small size, it has actually carried out some somewhat substantial machining work and probably some things it should have never had in it, but hey ho, that's between me and the lathe. Most of the parts are in original order have survived exceptionally well. One or two modifications and upgrades have been carried out. One of the primary upgrades was the fitting of a clutch unit based on the ML7 design. This enables the ability obviously to stop the lathe and start the lathe quickly rather than the old turning on and turning off the motor. That becomes a saga after about 2 minutes of use. The main shaft here has actually been changed by myself to a replacement unit to take the later chucks, backplates and general fitments. The front bearing here has been replaced with a heavier duty bronze type bearing to overcome the problem of these where they suffer with bearing wear. I've also added this oiling system which, although somewhat improvised, enables me to supply the bearings with a constant feed of oil at all conditions. The primary problem with these machines is the over tightening of these two bolts here to relieve play in the bearings. This puts undue strain on this bearing cap here and will often lead to them fracturing across here. This does somewhat render the machine inoperable and in some cases throw away, but there is a solution for repairing it and I have done so on my MF54, MF74 lathe, which I also have a video about. The other interesting and somewhat quirky feature about these lathes that myford's designed into them was the operating handle of the carriage here. The actual handle was geared directly to the rack here, but the way they geared it, or basically how the gear worked, was that when turning the handle to the right, the carriage went to the left, vice versa, and all was at quite high speed. The problem with this, of course, is that in all other machines, left is left and right is right. So when you're working near the chuck or doing small precision work, or you need to move the carriage in an emergency, your instinct is to go that way. However, the carriage would shoot that way and smash into your work. I decided this was not a practical idea, given that all other lathes I've ever used have always had the logical idea of left is left and right is right. A fairly simple modification was carried out, involved fabricating a gear for the top and a gear for the bottom and putting a small bearing housing in. This also slows down the rate of travel and makes for a much more pleasant and much safer machine. A lead screw cover here was also manufactured because the tendency was that all the chippings and work would of course clog up the lead screw and get caught up in the split nut. This is a simple piece to make and a seriously good addition. The quick release tool holder was an addition. This fits both machines and takes a standard fitment tool holder. Most of the other parts of the machine are in exceptionally good condition and have survived the test of time well. These old myford lathes are quite a tough old cookie and will take some considerable amount of abuse and a lack of maintenance. This really is a trusty old workshop friend, and you can probably see by the amount of oil that's shot up the wall over the years and the wear and tear on the tray just how much use it's had.